Alyssa had always believed in kindness. It was one of the lessons her parents had instilled in her from a young age. But she never imagined that a simple act of generosity would alter the course of her life forever. She had been working tirelessly for months, balancing college courses and part-time jobs, carefully saving every dollar she could spare. Her dream was simple yet ambitious: a small coffee and pastry cart. It wouldn't be a fancy cafe, but it would be hers. She had spent late nights researching the best locations, perfecting recipes, and filling out permits. Now, after all the sacrifices, she finally had her $1,000 savings, just enough to buy the supplies she needed to start her business. Alyssa moved through the grocery store, meticulously selecting her ingredients: bulk espresso beans, flour, sugar, butter. Each item was a crucial piece of her vision. The cart represented more than just income. It was a way to ease the burden on her parents, who had worked tirelessly to support her. Her father labored long hours on construction sites, while her mother worked as a cashier at a small convenience store. Money had always been tight, and Alyssa wanted to do her part. As she pushed her cart toward the last item on her list, wax paper for wrapping pastries, she passed the pharmacy counter. An elderly man stood there, his voice quiet but firm, his posture straight despite the exhaustion evident on his face. He wore a faded military cap, its embroidered insignia worn but still recognizable. "You're saying this is after insurance?" he asked, his tone calm but edged with frustration. The pharmacist, a young woman in a crisp white coat, gave him an apologetic look. "Yes, sir. Your insurance covered part of it, but the remaining balance is $1,200. A slow breath escaped the man's lips. He reached into his worn leather wallet, flipping through the few bills inside. After a moment, he placed $200 on the counter. "This is all I've got. Is there anything you can do?" The pharmacist shook her head. "I'm sorry, but this is the lowest price available." Alyssa stood a few feet away, pretending to check a shelf while listening. The store carried on as usual. Cash registers beeped, shopping carts rattled, customers walked past, oblivious to the quiet struggle unfolding in front of her. The man hesitated, then slowly tucked his money back into his wallet. His fingers clenched the edge of his jacket as he turned away, murmuring to himself, "I need this medicine." His voice softened. "Diabetes and a few other things." He let out a dry chuckle, but there was no humor in it. 25 years serving this country, fighting so others wouldn't have to, never thought it would be this hard just to get what I need. Alyssa felt something tighten in her chest. No one in the store reacted. No one stepped forward. But she did. "Excuse me, sir," she said hesitantly. The veteran turned, his tired but sharp eyes meeting hers. I heard about your medicine," she said. "How much more do you need?" He studied her for a moment before answering, $1,000. Alyssa exhaled. That was everything she had. She glanced at her cart. The bulk espresso, the cups, the ingredients, each item a stepping stone to her dream. But then she looked at him again, really looked at him, not just as an elderly man struggling to afford medicine, but as someone who had given so much for others and was now left to fend for himself. Her stomach nodded. Then she made her decision. "Can you wait here for just a minute?" she asked. He furrowed his brow but nodded. "Sure." She turned and walked briskly through the aisles, placing her carefully chosen items back on the shelves. The flour, the sugar, the cups, one by one, they disappeared from her cart. Near the checkout, a cashier looked up. "Change your mind?" he asked casually. Alyssa didn't answer. She simply placed the last item back. When she returned, the veteran was still there, shifting slightly as if debating whether to leave. Without hesitation, she reached into her purse and pulled out 10 crisp $100 bills, extending them toward him. His eyes widened. "What?" "Miss, I can't accept this. It's too much." Alyssa's voice was steady. "You serve this country. You gave so much for people you didn't even know. This is the least I can do." His fingers twitched, resisting. "But you don't even know me. Why would you do this?" She smiled, though her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Because you need this more than I do." Still, he hesitated. This money, it's not just extra cash you're lying around, is it? His sharp, weary eyes searched hers. What was it for? Alyssa hesitated. I was saving to start a small coffee cart. My own business. Something I've dreamed of for a long time. His jaw tightened. And you're giving it up for me? She nodded. It's just money. Your health is more important. His hands trembled as he took the money. His knuckles went pale. A shaky breath escaped him. I don't know what to say. No one's ever done something like this for me. Alyssa blinked back tears. Just promise me one thing. Take care of yourself. The veteran swallowed hard, then reached into his pocket, pulling out an old phone. Miss, I don't know if I'll ever meet someone like you again. I want to remember this moment. He lifted his phone slightly. Would it be okay if I took a picture? Alyssa felt her face warm, but nodded. Of course. He took the photo, staring at the screen as if etching the moment into his memory. Then he murmured, I want to share this. People need to see that kindness still exists. She hadn't done it for recognition, but she simply smiled. The next day, her world changed. Military vehicles lined her street. Soldiers in crisp uniforms stood at attention. At the center was a man who commanded instant respect, General Nathaniel Brooks. When Alyssa's father opened the door, the general stepped forward. Alyssa Morgan? He asked, his voice firm yet warm. Alyssa swallowed. Yes. I came to thank you on behalf of countless veterans and their families. The veteran she had helped had shared her story online. Thousands had seen it. Inspired, a group of veterans pooled together funds to reward her kindness, paying for her college and funding her dream coffee cart. Tears streamed down her face as the general handed her an envelope and a medal. You showed the world that kindness still matters, he said. Months later, as Alyssa's coffee cart stood on a bustling street corner, serving steaming cups to customers, the medal sat proudly beside her register, a constant reminder that one act of kindness could change everything.